For every video game fan, there is that one game. The game that resonates with you more than any other. The one that you keep going back to, time after time, because you never get tired of playing it. For me, that game is Final Fantasy III. If you followed my website for any length of time, you know that I believe this game to be the best video game ever created. Even 15 years after its release, no other game I've played has managed to surpass the excellence of Final Fantasy III. The game's storyline starts off with a mysterious young girl named Terra, whose magic powers make her the target of an evil empire. After breaking free from the hypnosis placed upon her, she finds herself among a group of rebels who seek to stop the Empire from taking over the world. The Empire, however, has discovered the existence of magical creatures known as espers, and are draining their powers to further their conquests. While the Empire serves as the main threat for much of the game, players will quickly discover that it's Kefka, the sociopathic court mage to the Emperor, who's the source of most of the destruction and mayhem that goes on. The list of characters is long and varied, and all of them have very different personal reasons for taking up arms against the Empire. There's Locke, a treasure hunter whose fiancée was killed in an attack by the Empire. Celis, an Imperial general who's had a crisis of conscience. Cyan, a veteran retainer whose entire kingdom was poisoned by the Empire. And Setzer, a Roman gambler who's just looking for another adventure. Along the way, the party will find themselves in all sorts of predicaments, such as minecart rides, raging rapids, a town filled with liars and thieves, and even an opera scene. And that's just the first half of the game. In the second half, your goal is to reunite the party after a catastrophic event, and defeat Kefka once and for all. This is where the game really starts to turn the emotional factor up a notch, as it tackles issues like suicide, teenage pregnancy, and child abandonment. Of course, there are plenty of humorous moments during the game as well, and they do a brilliant job of mixing some lighthearted moments into the story. The graphics and music for this game are some of the finest you'll ever experience on the SNES. Each of the character sprites have a wide array of expressions, including fear, anger, embarrassment, and of course, laughing. The battle scenes are especially impressive, featuring some fearsome monsters, especially late in the game. But the soundtrack is nothing short of a masterpiece, and is widely regarded as composer Nobuo Uematsu's finest work. Let's put it this way, it's the only video game soundtrack I've ever spent money on. The biggest criticism Final Fantasy III usually gets has to do with its challenge level. To be fair, it doesn't take a whole lot of effort to raise your characters up to a high enough level that the late stages of the game are pretty much a cakewalk. This is mostly because of the ability to teach any spell to any character and give them significant boosts in their stats by equipping them with the magicite remains of any espers you come across during the game. But there is a lot of potential to make the game more difficult. Because most of the characters you find in the second half are acquired through optional quests, it's possible to play the final dungeon with just 3 characters. And because most of these quests have other rewards, you can substantially limit your magic and abilities if you really want to. The only other issue I have with the game is more of a nitpick than anything else. Your characters move a bit slowly on the overworld maps. While there is an item that will double your walking speed, it'll take up a slot in your inventory that may be better suited for other things. Aside from that, the game control is as solid as you would expect from an RPG. They even have a character that uses various control pad and button combinations to unleash a wide array of special moves. Final Fantasy III is the total package. Captivating plot, spectacular presentation, and a challenge level that can be made as easy or as hard as you want it. Even though I've played the game enough times to practically memorize the script, it's still just as enjoyable as when I played through it the first time. At 76 points, it has the highest score of any game in my collection. Everyone has their favorites, and for me, Final Fantasy III is my all-time favorite game.